Hi, I'm Mark Honeyman from Mark the Moment Weddings, and I have a proposal. What do you say we have a conversation with one of Metro Detroit's most talented wedding professionals? As a wedding officiant in Southeast Michigan, I see these inspiring individuals in action almost every weekend. They're the magic makers, the ones who bring dream weddings to life. But if you're a recently engaged couple trying to decide which vendors to hire, it can be overwhelming. How do you decide from all those photographers, DJs, florists, wedding planners, caterers, etc.? Especially when all you know about them is what you see on a website or in some social media posts. Until today. Today, you're going to hear directly from one of those magic makers. Because I Have a Proposal is all about introducing you to those amazing wedding professionals who make it all possible. And that includes our guest for today, Pat Blackwell. She's the creator, owner, and CEO of Red Coat Ladies, a business dedicated to providing the best event planning in Metro Detroit. Event planners are the calm amidst the chaos. They see everything at once, the vision, the logistics, the emotions, and somehow they manage to make it all work. Today, Pat will be sharing her journey to becoming a wedding planner, the way she stands out in a very crowded field, and a cornucopia of creative tips and insights for couples, especially those who are wondering if they should hire an event planner. Hint, the answer is yes. Pat, we're thrilled to have you join us for episode 1 of I Have a Proposal. It's an honor to have you as our inaugural guest. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Mark. I'm really thrilled to be here. And I'm going to jump right in and say, you described me as a wedding planner, and the term wedding planner encompasses a whole range of people. Most people think of a wedding planner as a designer, and I have a very much more limited role. I'm a wedding manager, and I manage weddings that other people design. Sometimes it's your florist who designs it, sometimes it's a couple who designs it, or their family, or sometimes they have a wedding planner, and we come in and take care of the day itself. So we specialize in day of the party, and that focus means we give couples lots and lots of personal attention. Designers focuses on the wow, the fact that when you walk into the room, you go, wow, this is amazing, and I want that wow. But I'm not the creative force that makes that wow. I'm the checklist girl who's upstairs steaming dresses and making sure the photographer's on time and making sure the hair and makeup's going well, so that when you come down and see that wow, it's exactly what you wanted it to be.
Got it. I love it. So it intrigues me how people find their way to their calling. And, my journey to becoming a wedding officiant is pretty wild. So I'm curious, what was your path that led you from those early days on the farm in Minnesota with your 10 siblings, all the way to, I'm a wedding manager, I'm a wedding planner. How did that all sort of evolve?
Well, you hit the nail on the head. I have 10 siblings. So in my house, we had a 2-bedroom house with 1 bathroom. And it was chaos.
Wow.
I mean, every meal is like a big event. Every meal is a big deal. My mom was an amazing baker, and we used to do all kinds of fun things. But food and celebrations were really big in my family. And I went on to study hotel and restaurant management. In the meantime, I had the Grand Champion hog at the state fair, so it's kind of ironic that I specialize in Jewish weddings now. But after college, I traveled around the country for a while, and I loved doing all that traveling. Then part of my assignment was Detroit. I met my future husband in Detroit and decided I better have a job that I actually stay here. Well, back in 1987, when you applied for a job, you would answer an ad in the newspaper. So I answered an ad in the newspaper, and Temple Israel called me. And frankly, when they called me, I said, don't you want somebody Jewish to work that job? Because I didn't know anything about Jewish anything. They said, well, actually, we want somebody who can work on Yom Kippur. I said, what's Yom Kippur? And people who know anything about Jewish anything, that's like saying, what's Christmas?
Right.
I've been involved with anything Jewish. And so it was a huge learning curve for me at Temple Israel. And I loved all the traditions and all that stuff that I learned. But more than that, I watched people have these incredible, amazing parties that they weren't enjoying. People were having the most amazing parties I'd ever seen in my life, and the parents were working so hard. I was in charge of setups and teardowns and lost and found, and they would come back to me on Monday and say, can I crawl through the dumpster?
Oh,
I
God.
want to deal with all my decorations yesterday, but I really want that, whatever it is. And so I started helping people with parties at Temple, And then somebody said, "Hey, my party's at Temple Bethel. Can you help me?" And I said, "Sure, why not?" And then somebody said, "My party's at the Ritz-Carlton." Back then there was a Ritz-Carlton in Dallas.
Right.
Sure, I can do that. So I started helping people with parties, and it grew from there, and I absolutely love it. It's the most amazing thing to be part of people's very best days. And as an officiant, you have that same role, and it's
Yeah.
such a wonderful feeling. I worked a party last night at Temple Israel. I probably had 30 of my clients in the room, and it's just a warm, wonderful thing, and I absolutely love it. And people said to me, "Are you still doing this?" Yes, 34 years later, I still love it. So yes, I'm still doing it because it's still fun.
You're right. Oh man, what a beautiful sort of arc of a story where you sort of find where you're meant to be and you invest in it, and people find you because you're doing great work, and you clearly you love what you're doing. Your enthusiasm just sort of radiates off of you, and that's a beautiful thing. And so many people, I think, in the work world today have this sort of reserved quality. I think they think they're giving away too much or sharing too much, and I just love how effervescent you are, and how and clearly that energy is attracting a lot of people to the work you do. So kudos to you. That's phenomenal.
Thank you so much.
So if you had to guess, how many weddings do you think you've done? Just even if it's a ballpark.
2,300 probably.
Wow. Wow. And
I do weddings and I do bar mitzvahs, and I've done probably
right.
3,500 bar mitzvahs.
Holy cow.
Started with bar mitzvahs and then morphed into weddings. And
Wow. And so, you know, that's a sizable number of weddings. How would you, like when you look at sort of the scope of the weddings you've done, what are some of the similarities and differences you've discovered in terms of the way people put weddings together and your role in terms of how you help them enjoy the day as much as you can? Is sort of a comparison contrast of some of the weddings you've done over the years.
I don't care whether you have 20 people or 200 people or 500 people. It's a really big day in your life. And it's important. And one of the things that I've learned is that what's important to somebody is not important to somebody else. And so I spend a huge amount of time discovering what's important to people. One of my favorite lines I share with couples is, your photographer very likely, and thank goodness, thinks pictures are the most important thing of the day. And your
Right.
DJ very likely, and thank goodness for that, thinks it's all about the music and the good vibes on the dance floor. The caterer very likely thinks it's all about the food. And somewhere tucked among all of that is what's important to this couple. And I work hard to find out what that is and then craft a timeline to highlight what's important to them and make sure that they have all the important things fit into their schedule the way that they prioritize. And that's different for every couple. I have couples who hired a videographer, but they weren't really sure. And then they come back and say, video was really important and I got all this cool stuff and thanks for talking me into having a videographer. I have other couples who say, I don't really care about any prep pictures. Let the photographer start once I get in my dress. Okay. All of that works. It's about what's good for you and your day. And that's what I want to get in my timeline. As a day of the party coordinator, as a party manager, I like to call myself, I play the role similar to a conductor in the symphony. I'm not playing any of those instruments. I'm not the DJ. I'm not the caterer. I'm not the florist. But I want to have you have all the information you need to do the very best job you can. I recommend good vendors all day, every day. And I think my role as a event manager is to give those vendors the right information and then get out of the way so they can do the magic that they do. Other planners think that their job is to put their thumb on somebody's neck and make sure they're doing what I want them to. I don't see my role like that at all. I want the wedding party to be doing what I want them to do. But I can handle that part easily.
Right.
All those vendors, you hire good vendors and you trust them to do the good job. Of course you check on them, but I think they hire professionals, and that's half the magic, is getting the right people in the right places. So I spend a huge amount of time giving out phone numbers of good vendors.
Yeah. Yeah. So how do you get to know your, I don't know if you call them clients or customers or like what the right term would be from your perspective, but you know, what process do you use to get to know them well enough that you know what they need, because like you said, it's very individualized, right, from person to person, couple to couple. So what is your like process for taking that deep dive and understanding what they really need?
Lots of phone calls. I used to meet all my brides in person because that's what you did. Since COVID, a lot of my brides who live out of town do Zoom meetings, and it's much more difficult to get information out of you on Zoom than it is in person. When I walk into your house, I can see if you have photos all over your house. Pictures are obviously really important to your family. If I walk in your house and you've got a whole lunch planned out for me, food is obviously really important to you and that family. And it's the conversations. I ask lots and lots and lots of questions. I have checklists that I've developed over these 34 years that are massive. And so sometimes those meetings last 2 hours and we're not done, but they're fried. And I can see their eyes glaze over and okay, we'll come back some other day. But I want to know that they've thought about, for example, when I say, who's your officiant, they'll give me an answer. My next question is, whose microphone is that officiant using? What microphone? Who's providing that microphone? Do they need a lapel mic? Do they need a handheld mic? Do they need a stand? Do they need a podium? I want to know all those things, and I don't have the right questions until I hear your answers. So I don't have this massive checklist I email to people. I talk it through with them.
Right, right.
The answer they give me causes more questions, and we just keep working it.
Yep, I hear that. It's funny because I warn my couples ahead of time that I've got this massive checklist of aspects of the ceremony and how they want that to be all put together and how they're going to gasp. And really, I could have them married in about 30 seconds. But all those other layers of the non-legal part is what brings a wedding ceremony to life, and plumbing who they are as people and what their values are, their experiences, their personalities. That's the magic of a wedding. And so, but it's not a swift process if you really want to have a truly deep organic understanding of the couples you're working for. So
I had a client call me and say, "Can I just hire you for the day?" I said, "We always are just hired for the day. That's our
right.
that's our special sauce." She says, "No, really, I just want you to come in at 9 in the morning and work until midnight." And I said, "No, not interested." I said, "Those hours don't scare me at all, but all I'm going to do if I don't talk to you before that is interrupt you and ask you questions all day long. Hey,
Yeah.
can you do this? Hey, do you like this? Hey, how do you want this? Hey, how do you want this?" That's not helpful to you at all. So I ask all kinds of questions beforehand so that day I don't have to ask anything, and I'm comfortable making decisions on their behalf that I
Right.
firmly believe would represent what their priorities are.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. So, all right, so how it's ironic considering what you're wearing. How did you come up with the name for your business, Red Coat Ladies?
By accident. So initially, I started doing this, and my company was called Party Assurance. I would assure you a stress-free party. That was my gig. And one day, I happened to wear a red coat, and 2 or 3 times during that party, people came up to me and said, "They told me to find the lady in the red coat. That must be you." Okay, that's interesting. So the next week, I did it again, and the next week, I did it again, and then I just made it my uniform as I wear red coats. And so then people weren't calling me Party Assurance, they were calling me the Red Coat Ladies. So then it got confusing. So eventually I changed the official name to be the Red Coat Ladies. But when you're out of town, nobody understands what Red Coat Ladies are, and I get it.
Right.
But here, when you come, I did it again last night. Somebody came in wearing a red coat, and I said, "How was your trip in?" And she looked at me, "How do you know I came in from out of town?" I said, "Well, in this town, if you wear a red coat to a party, I'm going to put you to work."
Right.
So here, people are handing you cards and gifts. Take these over here. Over here. She said, "Wait." I said, "I'm just teasing."
Oh, that's great. Oh, I love that.
Totally by
So,
accident. Realize.
you're right, but to me, those serendipitous sort of moments are the best because they happen naturally out of the work you're doing rather than So I think that's awesome. So all right, so why is a wedding manager, right? I want to make sure. Okay, a wedding manager is so important to the overall success of a wedding. Like if somebody were sort of hesitating, why should I hire this person? Like, what is it you do that you think is so profound that it's going to make them go, yeah, beyond all the other vendors, we need this person sort of, pulling the strings.
So there is no such thing as a perfect wedding. It never, ever goes as planned. And I totally understand that. I work hard to make it as good as it can possibly be, but there's always going to be something going wrong. And sometimes the something going wrong is you don't like your makeup, and so you get it redone, and she does it perfect the second time, but now you're half an hour behind. Sometimes the going wrong is your shoes don't fit, or your dress rips, or your bridesmaid breathed in her really tight dress and ripped it open. All of those things have happened. Sometimes the thing going wrong is your bus doesn't show up. Sometimes the thing going wrong is your bus showed up, but 70 people want to get on that 55 passenger bus. And so someone needs to deal with all those things that day. And if you don't have a go-to person, it's going to be you. I mean, I work bar mitzvah parties and weddings. And either way, if somebody throws up in the bathroom, who are they going to tell? Somebody's going to come and tell the bride, or mostly the bride's mom.
Right.
Well, I don't want them telling the bride's mom. I want it really clear, and I want to be really visible. If there's an issue, come find me. And back to this red coat. I have clients sometimes, but often party planners, who say, do you need to wear that red coat? And my response has been, gosh, no, I'm happy to wear a black coat or whatever it is you want. I only work half as hard when I don't wear this red coat. Because when there's a problem, you can either say to somebody, go find that lady, she's 5'7", she has great hair. Or you can say, find the lady in the red coat. And there's usually at least two of us in red coats there, because we have a team working every party. And it's just so much easier for the client. And I have a son now who's in this industry, and he tells me all his life he heard about the red coat ladies, and he knew, okay, I go to work, I wear my red coat. But he says now, as a vendor, it's amazing to have this red coat lady come and talk to you, because you understand their role. He said, I had a lady come and start telling me, do this, do this, do this. I don't know who she is. Is she some crazy aunt? Is she the party planner? Is she the mother of the bride? Is she someone I should listen to or not? He had no idea who she is. It's very clear who we are, and it's very clear that we're working, and we have name tags and red coats, and we're easy to find. That said, I don't want my red coat in your pictures. So I work really hard to be behind the scenes, taking care of things that don't even come up on your radar. I want to know you don't need to worry about anything. We've already thought about it and already taken care of it.
Gotcha.
Proactive is huge.
Right. Now, you mentioned having somebody else with you. Do you normally work as a duo, or are there 10 of you? Like, how many people descend on the site to make sure things go right?
You said the site, so I'm assuming you're talking about a one venue place, but that's not always the case. Sometimes you get dressed at a hotel, then you go take pictures at the DIA or wherever you're going to be, and then you end up at a venue. So I need somebody at the hotel steaming your dresses and making sure that you're going on time, your makeup staying on time. We're the ones whispering to your bridesmaids, hey, in 10 minutes we're going to leave and get on that shuttle, so pack up your stuff, girls. Let's go. And we're the ones so we're there on site while you're getting hair and makeup done and getting dressed. We're there usually helping you get into that dress, because those dresses are fabulous and amazing, but you don't often get them on yourself. You usually have a bridal salon of some sort helping you get them on, and then you have your mom, and mom doesn't really know how to do it, and so we jump in and help with all that stuff. But in answer to your question, so it depends what you need. We have a minimum of 2 people, but sometimes we have 5 or 6 people. We did a wedding in December where we had 3 people work in the floor, work in the wedding with the family and everything, but then we had 5 people running coat check. So depends what you need. Those 5 people were very busy at the beginning and busy at the end, but during the party, they were available to help with moving chairs from floor to floor, because we had to do some transition. Okay?
Yeah.
It works. So minimum 2, and I say minimum 2 because I've learned that I need to be able to leave. Not me, but one of my team needs to be able to go to your house when you forgot your marriage license in the safe at home. Or needs to go get the rings because you forgot, or to the hotel and get the rings out of the safe because you left them in the safe. Or we need to go get your socks because one of your groomsmen forgot socks. And or we're going to go pick up a tie somewhere. I've learned that I want to have that flexibility. So two
Yeah.
people is a minimum, and it's because whatever comes up, and we don't know what's going to come up yet. Whatever
Right.
comes up, we want to be able to deal with it for you.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Well, and I mean, you just named, I think I've had two weddings where people had to dash back to the hotel to grab the rings that they forgot or what, and how much lower their blood pressure would be if they could just, say, hey, turn to the red coat lady, she'll, and
I call
so,
her
yeah,
the checklist queen. And so I'm a checklist girl. And part of our checklist is we come to your house the week of the wedding and pick up all your stuff. We call it wedding treasures. But so I have this checklist of all the things you're going to need that day. And I want you to bring your personal makeup and your pajamas and all that stuff. But I want to take your marriage license. I want to take your ketubah. I want to take your glass dismission. I want to take all the stuff you're going to need. I want to take your place cards. I want to take your signs for the bar. I want to take your cocktail napkins. All the stuff that you may or may not have for a wedding. I want to take it all and get it off your shoulders. And
yeah.
it's wonderful to watch when I take all that stuff. Their anxiety level just.
Yeah, I
It's a
literally
wonderful
could
sense of
feel
relief
their
for them to know
shoulders.
that now it's in someone else's hands.
Yeah, yeah, their shoulders must just come down like 2 or 3 inches. That's amazing.
All right, I'm still
All
moving,
right, so
but you're
if
frozen
if
here.
you don't
So
mind, I'm
I
going
don't
to
know
list
what
some
happens to the
things.
internet.
Tell me which of these things you
Focus.
have at least some, you dip your finger into some of these, all these, and to what extent. Okay, so help, and I'll list them all off, and then I can go back and reread any of them that you want me to. So, do you help people with their timeline, their ceremony theme, their decor, their food, their invitations, hiring and coordinating vendors, which I know you mentioned that before, picking and working with a venue, other, is that kind of a yes, all the above, or?
I'm not involved in the design of your room. Your party planner might be, your florist might be, or them working in tandem. I am not a designer at all. I am a checklist person.
Got
So
it.
I want to know, okay, you hired this florist. What did you hire him to do? I want to look at your contract and say, okay, it says 12 high centerpieces, 14 low centerpieces, some focal points here, some greens here, this many bouquets, this many that. I want to know that you have communicated with your vendors what you want. I want to know that what you told them matches what you told me, matches our giant timeline. So I've had numerous times where somebody said, okay, I got my valet guy. I said, awesome, let me see the contract. I said, okay, you told me your wedding Saturday, but your valet contract's for Sunday. Are you wanting valet on Sunday? No. Okay. So let's get that fixed beforehand. I've worked with many, many, many people who tell me their band is playing from 6 to midnight. I said, okay, really? Because most bands are 4-hour contracts. So let me see your contract. What you got going on? Well, yes, it says you have a 6-hour contract that includes an hour of ceremony and an hour of cocktail music and an iPod and 4 hours of live music. Okay,
Yeah.
now I believe you got a 6-hour contract, but you don't have 6 hours of live band. And
Right.
so going through all those things, this wonderful wedding thing is something people hopefully only do once or maybe twice in their life, but it's a big learning curve. And so
Yeah.
having somebody who has some background and some experience with them, I know what to look for, that they may or may not know what to look for. And I
Right.
love people's reactions when I can ask them questions that they had no idea were, but are really important to what they're doing.
Right. Right. Oh, goodness. So, all right. So you mentioned vendors a couple of different times. It sounds more like you coordinate the vendors. You don't do you recommend vendors? Do you
I
have a
recommend
list
vendors
of,
all day long.
so
I
you have like a preferred list of people? And if so, or not even preferred, but of people who, do a good job. And how does somebody become somebody you recommend?
So I get emails twice a week that say, I'd like to be on your list as a videographer. I'd like to be on your list as a DJ. My response is, no. Until I see you in action, I'm not referring you to anyone for anything. So
Right.
thank you, but no.
Yeah.
I have a huge Rolodex. That's old term. I have a huge contact. And to get on my contact list, you have to be good. If you're not any good, I just conveniently don't have your number. I don't want to talk badly about people, but I want to have numbers of people who are fabulous. There's some photographers in town who I absolutely love working with, and some photographers who don't play well in the sandbox with other vendors and make it difficult for people.
Yeah.
I want to work with people who make it easy for you. I want to know that this day is going to run smooth because you chose great vendors. So I'm happy to refer vendors. Party planners quite often charge a fee to their vendors for their referrals. I don't play that game at all. I don't charge referral fees. I don't get referral fees. I refer people because they're wonderful to work with.
Yeah.
And like photographers, I talk about photographers every day. I had a meeting with someone in Texas today who doesn't know any photographers locally, and she's been looking in Google and finding local photographers. Okay, but what's important to you in pictures? I mean, anybody can Google. I want to know what you want.
Yeah.
It came down to she doesn't want any portraits. She doesn't want any planned stage pictures. She only wants journalistic kind of capture the day.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's a totally different kind of photographer than someone who needs to take 62 portraits because they have this huge family shot list. Those are very different characteristics. So I want to know what's important to you in photos. I want to know what's important to you in your DJ or your band before I give out names. If you just want a list of names, Google's got a great list of names.
Right.
I'm not Google. I want to have a curated vendor list for you. So no, I don't have a preferred vendor list. I have an awesome contact list, and I pick and choose who I recommend based on what you're telling me.
That totally makes sense. All right, so you've got a couple who's engaged. Is there an optimal time for them to bring you on board? And more darkly, is there a point of no return where it's too late to bring you on board?
The answer is it's never too early. I'm happy to recommend vendors. If you come to me and you already have your venue, awesome. I can work with that. If you come to me and you have it narrowed down to 10 venues and you want my advice on which of those is going to be best for you, I'm going to ask you 100 questions to find out what's important to you, and then I'll give you my 2 cents on each of those vendors. I'm happy to help you choose the right venue. If you come to me and tell me you have all your vendors all chosen and you have your timeline all made and you just need somebody to manage the day, that process became much more difficult because undoing your timeline and convincing you what's a good timeline compared to what you've had on your schedule for the last 8 months, that's a challenge. I talked with someone today, again, this woman in Texas. She wrote a lot for her schedule. She's got 6.5 hours of photos before the ceremony.
Holy
crap.
Yeah.
I think she's going to be exhausted before she ever walks down that.
Yeah.
And I just can't imagine that you need an hour and a half with your wedding party. So I think having wedding party pictures is important, but an hour and a half, I doubt it. So I worked real hard to try and convince her that maybe she should be a little bit more flexible in her schedule, and she wasn't having it at all.
Wow.
She's had a schedule for months and months and months. I said, does your photographer have some input in the schedule? Have they looked at this? Well, no, we haven't talked to them yet. Okay, well, let's get them involved in this conversation too, and then we'll have a schedule that actually works. 'Cause you're telling me you're starting hair and makeup at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I just can't believe that anybody really wants to be getting hair and makeup done at 6 in the morning. So maybe we can tighten this up a little bit and not have 6.5 hours of pictures, and I would have her starting hair and makeup more like 8 o'clock or so, and that's her.
Wow.
Yeah,
So like, go ahead.
The earlier the better, but it's never too late. It just becomes more difficult because as you go along, you're more entrenched.
Right.
Maybe you don't have a master schedule and you've got 4 schedules floating around. Your hair and makeup people made this schedule. Your band made that schedule. Your caterer made that schedule. They just don't happen to match.
Right.
So I had a fabulous band I worked with one time, and I had only communicated with the bride, and the bride had communicated with the band. The band showed up. I gave him a big hug and said hello. And he said, the rest of my guys will be here in about an hour and a half. I said, you're going on before that. What do you mean? We had totally different schedules. And that was many, many, many years ago. Wow. And I learned how important it is for me to communicate with all those vendors in addition to the bride communicating with all those vendors. And so I double check all that stuff. And I send all these vendors my schedule and I demand that they respond in some way so I know they got it. And,
Right.
yeah, so I want to have no trouble that day. And having no
Right.
trouble that day means lots and lots of communication beforehand.
Right. No, yep. So, all right. So let's say somebody is sitting there and they're thinking, okay, this sounds good. I want a wedding manager. This is going to be really helpful. When they go to shop for a wedding manager, like what advice would you give them about things they ought to be thinking about or looking for, and or pitfalls that they should avoid when picking a wedding manager? Like what's sort of the landscape of how somebody should go about figuring out who's the right fit for them?
I think personality is huge, but I have a wonderful team of ladies who work for me. And so I do all the meetings. And then based on what I learn about my clients and what I find out is important to them, then I choose the right member of my staff to work that party. Sometimes it's someone who's your neighbor. Well, if you didn't invite them to your wedding, you really don't want them at your wedding as a worker. You don't want them seeing you naked, getting in your dress and helping you go to the bathroom and that kind of stuff. So having somebody in the neighborhood may not be what you're looking for.
Right.
Sometimes it's a body style. I have some brides who are very, very, very thin and very conscious of how everybody looks, and they want a certain look. Okay, then I'm going to find someone thin on my team who's going to be good for you. And
Right.
sometimes I need somebody who can set up a whole display of pastries and stuff. We have a lot of people who do their own dessert tables, and they need somebody to set it up and tear it down and replenish it. And so I have a bunch of people who are former catering people or current catering people who are great at those displays. I need to know who you want, what all the job entails before I find the right person. But you're talking about when you're shopping for companies. So I think that having experience is huge. And anybody can make a timeline. This bride I talked to today made a timeline. I didn't like her timeline. Timeline. Yep, it's a timeline. But someone with more experience would have a different opinion of that timeline. And
Right.
so having a wedding planner who planned her own wedding and now is a wedding planner may not be the best answer for you because she just doesn't know. Making decisions on your own is a whole different thing than making decisions with someone else's timeline.
Yeah.
And so that's huge. Scope of the job is also huge. I work with lots and lots of really talented wedding planners, and they are designers, they are dreamers, they are people who come up with the most clever, creative, cool room designs and layouts. That's amazing. That's not my role. My role is to double check that. Okay, you told me table 8 has 12 people. I'm counting table 8. It really does have 12 people. I'm counting that table 8 really is in this left corner where you said it's supposed to be. It's not put over there. They don't have the wrong people, wrong tables in the wrong places. Having somebody who's very, very, very thorough is important.
Yeah.
And so when you get a proposal from somebody and it's got misspelled words or just incoherent, I work with some people who show up to the meeting with a blank piece of paper and say, okay. I don't ever start with a blank piece of paper. I start with a checklist and I go through my entire checklist and make sure you've got everything covered because I don't want you forgetting that. I don't care if you do special cocktail napkins or not. I care that you thought about it and made a decision. So one of the questions on my checklist is, do you have special cocktail napkins? Okay. If the answer is yes, cool. How many did you get? What time they come and am I picking them up? If the answer is no, what color napkins does the venue offer? Do they know they need to have their own napkins? Oh, their napkins say some name on them and you don't want that? Guess what? You still have time to go buy some cocktail napkins.
Right. The details, right? Oh, it's funny. So, all right.
Having people with experience is huge. Having people who have the kind of experience you need. I work with a lot of do-it-yourself brides. They order flowers on a rental basis. We get the boxes of flowers, we open them up, we put the flowers on the table, we pack them up at the end of the night. All those things are part of what we do. I want to know if that's what you're looking for or not. Some people love that kind of client, some people don't. Some people want to only work luxury weddings. Well, luxury weddings often have a party planner and all kinds of other help. Your backyard wedding's a whole different thing. In a backyard wedding, there is no support staff. There is no call the maintenance guy to fix this. We need a plumber. There is none of that. There is no
Right.
call the electrician down here quick. When you're at a house wedding, you're it. So I
Yeah.
need different staff, different skills at those parties. And
Right.
depending on you, the client, you may need those in your wedding manager or you might not. Depends where you're going to be. So
Right. Right.
what you need. And part of that is defining what you need.
Sure. Sure. So I feel like you've partially answered this, but some wedding professionals are sort of a come one, come all. Others have a sort of particular type of either ceremony or a particular kind of clientele that they sort of is their specialty or that they cater to. Do you feel like there's sort of a niche for you in terms of sort of where you best fit, or you pretty much bring it on and whatever you want, I'll make it happen?
There's definitely the best fit. And I think everybody has their sweet spot for what they do best. And what we, again, I'm a pig farmer from Minnesota, so it's kind of funny, but we specialize in Jewish weddings. So we do lots and lots of Jewish weddings, but we do an amazing amount of Christian weddings or non-denominational weddings. I love working with people who have opinions. If you're the kind of person who just sits there and say, oh, whatever, I'm probably not a good fit for you because I'm going to fire away 10,000 questions and I want you to be able to make some decisions. I love working with people who do some things themselves. They seem to have a greater appreciation for what it takes to make an event like this happen. If all you're doing is writing the check, you probably don't understand that they really did need 12 hours to set up that whole truss and rigging and all the cool lighting that went into it. You walk in the room and go, wow, but that's different than going, wow, look at that light and look over there and look at that and look at that. That's a different level of appreciation. And I work with clients who often are involved in their own party, and I like that.
Yeah. So do you have a favorite sort of funny or surprising thing that's happened to you as a wedding manager that kind of comes immediately to mind? That you can tell without getting yourself into trouble.
I was not kidding about the bridesmaid whose dress slipped. I mean, I had a bridesmaid in a skimpy little dress. Wow, she looked great in it. But then she sneezed. The whole side of her dress ripped out. And it wasn't the zipper that ripped, it ripped beside the zipper. And it was some like really floral dress with all different colors. And so I took my fishing line and I kept it on her and sewed her into her dress. And there was no sewing it off of her and then putting it back on. It wasn't going to fit. So I sent her home with the scissors and said, you're going to have to cut yourself out of this dress, girl. So things happen all the time. I have many brides who buy these gorgeous gowns, and the tailors often make the train so that it still flows a little while even after it's bustled. Yeah. Well, it looks lovely, but it sure is hard to dance in. So it's going to step on your dress and it's going to rip. And so we spend a lot of time fixing dresses and fixing bustles. And I have good team members who are very, very good at doing subtle alterations. I mean, I had a dad, I'm walking down, getting ready to send him down the aisle, and his button popped off his jacket. I got safety pins in my pocket, I'm pinning it on, and you're walking down the aisle in 3 seconds. But, it's so much is a personality thing. I had a wedding where this lovely bride had parents who weren't getting along, and they got a divorce when she was 2, and the bride was, mom got custody. Well, then mom died. Dad thought he should have a bigger role in the wedding than he did, and wasn't at all happy that an aunt was involved in the wedding. And it got to be a really tense situation. And he said, all I want to do is be a normal father.
No.
And I said, you lost that when you made the bride cry.
Right.
So normal fathers don't make the bride cry on their wedding rehearsal. And so we're going to back up a few steps. If you want to stay involved in this wedding, then you need to let her do what she says, because it's her decision. It's her day. I understand you're paying for some of it, but she's making the decisions, and you either got to respect that or back off. And She could never have said that to her dad, but I can.
Right. Right. Right.
So
Wow.
it,
Wow.
you, I know as an officiant, you deal with all kinds of personalities,
Yes.
and
Yes.
weddings can be stressful days, and those personalities reveal themselves. And
Yeah.
I firmly believe that if
Yeah.
you're a nice person, you will handle it with care and grace, and if you're not a nice person, that will be revealed as well.
That is for sure.
Mhm. Yeah.
Oh man. So all right, so can you if you had to kind of tap into what you consider the most rewarding aspect of what you do, just in general, not a specific ceremony or set of individuals, but sort of more holistically, what do you find so inspiring or rewarding about the work you do?
That's easy. I get people tell me they got to actually enjoy their party. People got to look around and notice little things. People got to talk to their friends. People got to actually enjoy their day instead of worrying about their day. I
Yeah.
take their watch off. I don't let them look at timelines. I don't let them look at other stuff. We're in charge of that. We will keep feeding you the information you need now. All you need to do is be present.
Yeah.
And the gift of being present, I find to be an incredibly important gift.
Wow. Yeah. That the first wedding I ever did, I prepared so fiercely for it that I could actually savor it as it was happening. And so that's such a precious gift that you're giving all those couples who work with you. That's incredible. So all right, so let's say there's a couple out there and they are listening to this conversation going, I I want to work with her. I want her to be on my team. What do they do to get the ball rolling? Is there a form on your website or a phone number to call? Like what are the steps they should follow?
All of the above. There's a form on my website. I get inquiries from my past clients on my cell phone all the time. That works. I get inquiries on my website all the time. I don't advertise anywhere. So the first thing I say to you when you call me is, how'd you get to me? Because I am very much a referral based business and I love it that way because I get
Yeah.
people who were told to come to me, they just don't know quite what I do. So I spend a lot of time explaining
Yeah.
what I do and what I do changes. So depends what you're going to need and you can't know what you're going to need yet. But whatever
Right.
it is, we'll deal with it and we'll take care of it. But bottom line is go to my website. It's redcoatladies.com or you can call my cell phone at 248-496-4572 or send me an email at pat@redcoatladies.com and I'll get back to you usually that same day. And we want to find out what you got going on, what you've already got planned, and how we can help so that you can make a good plan going forward.
I love it. I love it. Well, just from personal experience, I can tell you that you are phenomenal at responding to emails and texts very swiftly. So I've been wildly impressed with your ability to communicate in a timely fashion. Is there? Let me ask you this: is there any question that you sort of wish I would have asked you, but never got around to or hadn't thought of in my limited understanding of wedding managers? So something that you wanted to talk about that you wish I'd given you the chance?
I want to get back to the difference between a wedding planner and a wedding manager. There are a lot of people in town who are wedding planners. Their full service dream job is to plan your wedding from start to finish. And okay, if you're not willing to pay all that and don't need all that help, then all right, they'll manage your day for you.
Yeah.
But you're not their priority. This is all I do. This is what we specialize in. We want to take care of you. They want to take care of you, but their idea of taking care of you involves design, and
Yeah.
all that. It's
Yeah.
just a whole different feeling. And I work with some amazing wedding planners who have figured out that we have different roles. And we really do have different roles. My role is to take care of that wedding party, the bride, the groom, the wedding party, the parents. My role is to take care of all the guests. Their role is to dream up the design, to dream up the plan. Once the bride walks down the aisle, usually those wedding planners go home. And rightfully so, they're exhausted by then. They've been there 10 hours already setting things up. My job's just getting started. So
Right.
it's a wonderful thing for them to see the family go, wow, look at this, and get that reaction because that's important to them. I
Yeah.
totally understand that. That feedback's important. But now now that they got that wow, now they can go home and know that the family's still in good hands. So it's a huge level of trust to the vendors who I work with, the party planners who I work with. When they can leave, I know that they totally trust us to take care of that client the rest of the night and make sure their vision is carried through.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. Well, clearly you're doing it the right way. So, I unfortunately run out of time for more questions, but I'm so profoundly grateful for your time and for you joining the podcast, and for sharing so much about just sort of who you are, what you do, why you do it, and why it would make a difference in somebody's life. So, I tell you what, if I could travel back to 1991 and I were doing my wedding all over again, I would be on the phone with you instantly. I'd be looking you up in my Rolodex. I got to tell you, that brought me a lot of comfort when you said that. That's speaking my language.
Well, thank you for having me on this podcast. I appreciate the opportunity to spread the word, and I look forward to working with you. We're going to have some fun.
Oh, I hope so. That would be incredible. I would consider that such a privilege to be able to do that. I want to, before we end the session, I want to thank my producer, Brandon Klein, who, by the way, you did his bar mitzvah, and I suspect you may have done his sister's bat mitzvah at some point in time. And so, Brandon, thank you for everything, and I'm so glad that you could be here to be a part of this conversation with Pat, who did so much for you and your family back in the day. Particular shout out to any of the engaged couples out there who recently have experienced a proposal of your own. I hope the episode gave you sort of a potpourri of ideas for what you might want to do, and maybe more importantly, who you might want to hire for your own wedding. And by the way, don't forget your officiant. We team up to create a ceremony that will have you saying that was so us. Not to mention the fact that we're the ones who sign the license and make everything legal. Without us, you're still dating, just in nicer outfits. If you enjoyed the episode, please click that subscribe button. Follow me on social media at Mark the Moment Weddings. I'm Mark Honeyman, and by the power vested in me, I bid you farewell until the next time I have a proposal.